Elias Cade didn't look like a man who belonged on the Skyshard Express. First-class passengers wore polished chrome suits, shimmering silks, or ceremonial robes from half the galaxy. He wore a patched-up mechanic's jacket, a duffel bag with a broken zipper, and grease stains that seemed permanent. But he'd earned the ticket, a raffle win from a job-well-done bonus, and even mechanics deserved a bit of luxury once in a decade. He stepped into the cabin and froze. A Dracorian dragonborn, massive, scarred, radiating heat, was wedged awkwardly into one of the two front-row seats. The other, his seat, was empty. Passengers nearby pretended not to stare, though a few subtly shifted away, as if his mere presence was hazardous. Elias glanced at the seat again. Yep. His name glowed across the headrest. The Dragonborn's wing braces clicked uncomfortably as he tried to shrink himself. It wasn't working. There was no way he fit. His knees were pressed into the hollow table. His shoulders hunched so tightly his scales scraped the ceiling. A flight attendant approached, voice brittle but polite. Sir, we apologize, but first-class seats are not optimized for your physiology. Regulations do not permit. I will endure, the dragon rumbled. His voice shook the air like distant thunder. Do not trouble yourself further. He was clearly in pain. Elias sighed. This wasn't hard. Hey, he said casually, stepping forward. Take mine. The attendant blinked. Sir, you don't have to. Elias shrugged. Man needs a seat he can actually sit in. I'll take coach. Seats are smaller, but at least no one expects me to look elegant. The Dragonborn turned his heavy head, eyes like glowing embers narrowing. You would yield your comfort to me, he said slowly, though you owe me no honor? Elias scratched his cheek. It's not honor. It's just obvious. You're gonna snap your spine if you stay there. A deep, low exhale, almost a laugh, almost a growl, escaped the dragon. What is your name, human? Elias. I am General VZHYR of Clan Embermaw. He bowed his head slightly. Your courtesy is unexpected. Welcome to the unpredictable nature of humans, Elias said, slinging his duffel onto his shoulder. Enjoy first class. The fruit drinks are free. He stepped out and started down the corridor toward economy. The other passengers watched, whispers blooming behind him. Humans always doing strange things. Humans always forgetting their place. Humans always helping. He ignored it. He'd done the right thing. That was enough. 40 minutes later. Coach was a madhouse of chatter, toddlers, and hologames played at maximum brightness. Elias adjusted his seat, which squeaked in complaint, and tried not to think about how soft first class had been. A faint tremor rippled through the ship. He frowned. That wasn't normal. The lights flickered. Then, for half a second, the gravity field twitched, sending loose items floating before slamming them back down. A voice crackled through the speakers, far too calm. Passengers, we are experiencing minor turbulence due to a microwarp shear. Please remain seated. Elias muttered, Microwarp shear, my ass. Warp shears didn't cause electrical surges in the walls. They didn't cause hull resonance spikes. And they definitely didn't trigger the kind of vibration he'd just felt, the low, irregular hum of a system under threat. His mechanic senses tingled, that gut-feel instinct that had saved a dozen crews in the past. Something was wrong. Then came the scream. A sharp, piercing alarm tore through the cabin. Warning! Deck 6 pressure anomaly. Emergency lockdown initiated. Shutters slammed down along the windows. Bulkheads sealed. Several passengers gasped. One started crying. Elias stood immediately. I need to get to engineering. A security officer blocked him. Sir, return to your seat. I'm a mechanic, Elias said. I can help. We have protocols, the officer snapped. Sit down. Elias sat, but not because he agreed. He needed another angle. A new voice echoed through the intercom, deep and resonant. This is General VZHYR. I request immediate access to Deck 6. There is movement behind the bulkheads. Elias blinked. Movement? Security answered quickly. General, with respect, please remain in your cabin. The situation is under control. A snarl vibrated through the speakers, pure, ancient irritation. You mistake my report for suggestion. Something alive moves within your walls. Passengers froze. Movement? Inside the walls? Elias's gut twisted. KRYLL infiltrators? On a civilian liner? He whispered, no way. But the symptoms matched. Hull tremor. Bioelectric disruptions. Pressure anomalies. If KRYLL were here. The lights died. A second later, the emergency red strips flared on. People screamed. Elias's heart pounded as shadows stretched across the cabin, the amber glow illuminating distorted shapes. He reached instinctively into his duffel, pulling out his multipurpose tool, custom-wired, blade-dented, soldering end jury rig. Another alarm blared. Bino signature breach. Unauthorized entity detected. Passengers panicked, trying to unbuckle all at once. Everyone sit down, the security officer shouted, but it was useless. From behind the sealed bulkhead, a metallic clang echoed. Then another. Then a skittering sound. Elias swallowed. Oh yeah. That's KRYLL. The bulkhead split open like it had been peeled from the inside, shards of metal flying outward. A tall, mantis-shaped silhouette stepped through, its limbs crackling with blue bioelectric arcs. The cabin erupted in chaos. The KRYLL hissed, mandibles shivering. Then it pointed toward the corridor leading to first class. Elias whispered, "It's after HFY." The Dragonborn veteran wasn't just a passenger. He was a war hero with knowledge the KRYLL desperately wanted. Or wanted silenced. The creature took a step forward. Elias acted without thinking. He jumped into the aisle, raising his multi-tool like it was a weapon worth fearing. "Hey! Glowstick bug! Over here!" The KRYLL turned its insectoid head slowly. Passengers gasped. One whispered, "That human is insane." Elias felt insane. His hands shook. His brain screamed. But he forced his voice to stay steady. "Come on," he growled. "Pick on someone who knows how to fix things." The KRYLL charged. But before it reached him, a sudden burst of heat blasted through the corridor. A pillar of orange flame roared past Elias, slamming into the KRYLL and sending it crashing against the ceiling. Elias shielded his face as heat washed over him. General VZHYR stepped into view, smoke curling from his fangs, eyes blazing. He snarled, "You gave me your seat, human. Now I repay my debt." Elias exhaled shakily. "Okay. That's fair." VZHYR's wings unfolded with a mechanical hiss. "Come, Elias Cade. Let us see what hunts us." The KRYLL screeched from across the cabin, rising again. Elias gripped his multi-tool tightly. VZHYR flexed his claws. The two stood side by side as the darkness pulsed around them. Elias's heartbeat hammered in his chest as the first KRYLL warrior recovered from VZHYR's fiery blast. Its bioelectric limbs shimmered, sparks snapping off the ceiling as it hissed and skittered forward. "This is not a drill," Elias muttered, gripping his multi-tool like a crowbar. "And I didn't sign up to die in coach." VZHYR's amber eyes glimmered, scanning the cabin. "Coach is irrelevant. Survival is not. Move." Passengers were scattering, bumping into each other, shrieking as the emergency lighting flickered red. Several crew members tried to calm them, but the KRYLL had a focused intent. Head straight to VZHYR. Elias and the Dragonborn vaulted into the corridor. "Okay," Elias muttered as they ducked behind a maintenance panel. "They're smart. Way too smart for a passenger attack. They know exactly what they want." VZHYR flexed his claws. "And I know exactly who they are. KRYLL infiltrators. Rare, elite hunters trained for assassinations." Elias's stomach sank. "Elite killers on a civilian liner? This is—" A low, metallic click cut him off. A shadow detached from the ceiling. Another KRYLL, larger, limbs sparking with charged energy, dropped to the floor like a predator stalking a rat. Its multi-jointed mandibles clicked in anticipation. Elias swore under his breath. Oh yeah, we're toast. Totally toast. VNZHYR didn't flinch. No. We are unpredictable. Follow my lead. Before Elias could question, VNZHYR surged forward. The cybernetic wing braces hissed, flames licking the edges. The KRYLL screeched and leapt toward him, but VZR's claws caught the creature midair, spinning it like a rag doll against the corridor wall. Sparks and molten metal flew as the KRYLL's exoskeleton cracked. Elias's jaw dropped. I didn't know humans got to see that in first person. VNZHYR glared at him. Keep your eyes forward, human. Fight or fix, not gawp. Elias felt his palms tingle with adrenaline. He knew the ship's emergency engineering layout better than anyone. Alright. I can fix stuff. Maybe even help kill things if it's mechanical. Visitor's head tilted. Explain. There's a conduit along the lower deck, Elias whispered, pointing. I can reroute the hull's energy to overload their exosuit. Fry the circuits. Temporarily at least. VNZHYR nodded slowly. Lead the way, human. I will protect you. The corridor stretched like a labyrinth. Emergency shutters banged shut behind them as more KRYLL skittered in from hidden shaft. Each one moved faster than expected, precision-trained, scanning for heat signatures. Elias ducked behind a pipe and flicked switches on his multi-tool. Okay, if I link the main junction box to this conduit, it'll spike the voltage. The KRYLL suits are powered by bioelectric feedback. Overload should stop them short. VNZHYR leaned against the wall, wings tucked. Do it. Quick. As Elias worked, a third KRYLL lunged from the ceiling. Its mandibles clamped inches from his arm. He yelped, swung the tool reflexively, and hit it on its joint. Sparks flew. The creature shrieked and flopped, twitching. VNZHYR didn't wait. A burst of flame shot down the corridor, igniting the bulkhead behind the KRYLL. Its screech echoed like a warning siren. Human, now. VNZHYR barked. Elias yanked a lever. Electric arcs surged down the exposed conduit. A high-pitched scream pierced the air as the KRYLL nearest them convulsed violently, limbs jerking. Smoke curled from its exoskeleton. Yes! Elias shouted, adrenaline fueling him. VNZHYR's tail swung, smashing a reinforced security door closed. Temporary respite, he said. Move. Now. They reached the emergency elevator bay. Bulkheads were scorched, the floor littered with broken panels. Red warning lights pulsed like heartbeat alarms. Passengers were trapped here too, huddled against walls. A mother clutched her child, trembling. Elias gestured. Stay low. Don't touch anything metal. Visitor's eyes swept the area, scanning every shadow. KRYLL may follow. Stay close. One of the survivors whispered, Please, please save us. Elias knelt beside her. We're working on it. You'll be okay if you follow instructions. VNZHYR grunted. Humans capable of fear, yet courageous. Impressive. Elias smirked despite the smoke and sparks. You should see us when we're happy. No time to linger. A distant metallic clang warned that the KRYLL were adapting. They didn't just follow, they analyzed, learned, and ambushed. Elias glanced at VNZHYR. You think there's more of them hiding? VNZHYR's gaze hardened. Not hiding. Lying in wait for me specifically. They do not attack civilians by accident. Elias swallowed hard. So this is personal for you? VNZHYR's amber eyes glinted. Yes. And now, human, it is personal for you too. You chose honor over comfort. You will survive because of it. Elias nearly choked on disbelief. Yeah, sure, lucky me. Another screech tore the air. A KRYLL dropped from the ceiling, faster than anticipated. Elias barely dodged. Sparks danced off his jacket. VZHYR lunged, catching the creature mid-flight, claws tearing through armor. Flame roared again. The corridor became a chaotic ballet of fire, metal, and desperation. Elias finally finished the reroute. Okay. Main conduit rerouted. Their suits should fry on contact. The next wave of KRYLL hit. One reached VZHYR, claws slicing across his wing braces. Heat roared, flames ignited, and the bioelectric feedback from the overloaded suits caused a chain reaction. One by one, the KRYLL convulsed and collapsed, screeching in defeat. Elias stumbled back, exhausted. I think that's all of them. VZHYR shook himself, flames subsiding. Temporary victory. But the main threat is still unknown. We are being hunted, human. Hunted for knowledge you do not yet possess. Elias's mind raced. Knowledge, what kind? VZHYR didn't answer. Instead, he extended a clawed hand. Come. The captain will want to speak with us. And you will need to explain how a human mechanic almost saved us all. Elias grimaced. Almost? Yeah. I'll take almost. As long as no one dies next, I'm good. VZHYR's eyes softened, just slightly. Humans are strange, reckless, and yet indispensable. Elias shook his head. Just doing my job, Dragon. Just doing my job. But deep inside, he knew this was the moment everything changed. The start of something bigger than a seat, bigger than a ship, bigger than any human or dragon could face alone. And in the shadows of the Skyshard Express, the real threat waited, silent, calculating, and patient. The Skyshard Express hummed under its quantum-threaded hull, the red emergency lights casting long, jagged shadows across the corridors. Elias followed VZHYR down the narrow access passage toward the bridge, his breathing still ragged, palms black with soot and sweat. Tell me, Elias said, glancing at the Dragonborn, what exactly did those things want from you? They weren't just boarding a civilian ship for fun. VZHYR's amber eyes glowed softly in the dim light. They want the Codex of Embermaw. Elias blinked. The what now? The Codex, VZHYR repeated, voice low. An artifact of my clan. Ancient. Contains military strategies, biological schematics, and the history of Dracorian warcraft. It is not for mortal hands, yet they hunt me as if I carried it. Elias ran a hand through his sweat-streaked hair. Wait, you're saying these bugs are after a book? VZHYR's jaws clenched. Not a book. Knowledge. Power. And they know it is on this vessel. A shudder ran through the ship, stronger than before. Floor panels rattled and lights flickered. Elias's stomach dropped. That's not coincidence. No, VZHYR agreed. The KRYLL are part of something larger. Someone orchestrated this. Someone who knew my route, my presence. We are being targeted, human. Elias's grip on his multipurpose tool tightened. And the passengers? We can't just fight every alien saboteur in a tin tube. That's insane. VZHYR's tail swept the floor. It is war, human. And I will not allow innocents to die. They reached the bridge. The captain, a nervous Terran woman named Lyra Tanis, looked like she'd aged 10 years in the past hour. Her hands trembled over the console. General, she said, her voice quivering. We have no choice. Hull integrity is dropping in multiple sectors. If this escalates, we could. Ship will survive, VZHYR interrupted, stepping closer. Flames licked the tips of his claws, controlled but threatening. I require access to all decks, all logs, and all surveillance. Whoever orchestrated this will reveal themselves. Lyra swallowed. Understood, sir. But we have a problem. She pointed to the holodisplay. Deck 6, the main conduit, there's interference. Something or someone is actively masking its presence. We can't isolate it. Elias peered over her shoulder. Lines of glowing data twisted erratically like a heartbeat gone mad. That's not KRYLL, he whispered. They're smart, but not this smart. Someone's controlling them remotely. Visitor's jaw tensed. Then it is a trap. Before anyone could respond, an alert blinked on the bridge. Intruder detected. Deck 9, Engineering Bay. Elias froze. Deck 9. That was his domain. His personal playground of wires, conduits, and emergency override. Don't tell me, he muttered. They went after engineering now? Visitor's eyes narrowed. Stay with me, human. If they breach the engines, the ship dies. And so will everyone on board. The corridor to Deck 9 was a war zone. Sparks arced from walls, and scorched panels hung like wounded metal. A faint hiss, like escaping steam, accompanied the low hum of a destabilizing warp core. Elias moved fast, navigating through maintenance ladders and service tunnels only he knew existed. He glanced at VAZHYR, who walked with predatory grace, flames curled along his spines in warning mode. This is insane, Elias muttered. I've fixed old starliners, collapsed conduits, and fried a few circuits, but I've never done combat engineering under alien assault. VAZHYR gave him a sidelong glance. Then you are about to learn, human. There is no one else to rely on. When they arrived, the engineering bay was chaos incarnate. Panels hung from the ceiling, conduits sparking like fireflies, and the warp core thrummed with unstable energy. And in the center, a cloaked figure stood, controlling the remaining KRYLL. Elias squinted. The figure moved with unnatural precision, every movement calculated. The KRYLL obeyed, synchronized, almost like extensions of its will. VAZHYR growled. A human. Impossible. No. Not a human. Elias's stomach sank. Wait. That's no human. That's some kind of enhanced hybrid. Cybernetics, biofeedback. It's using the KRYLL as drones. The figure turned slowly. Eyes glowing red beneath the hood, it spoke. You shouldn't have interfered, Dracorian. Or your human pet. VAZHYR bared his fangs. Reveal yourself, coward. The hybrid laughed, a chilling mix of mechanical clicks and human tone. I am called Shivrax, and I will have the codex. Any who stand in my way will be neutralized. Elias swallowed. Codex, he muttered. So that's what this is all about. Knowledge. Military secret. The KRYLL just pawns. VAZHYR stepped forward. You underestimate us, Shivrax. You misjudge humans and dragons alike. The hybrid's hand flicked. The remaining KRYLL surged forward. Sparks arced off the walls, creating a strobing, deadly landscape. Elias dove behind a control console, pulling wires. I might be able to short-circuit them again. If I can reach the auxiliary grid, I can fry their circuits temporarily. But I'll need cover. VAZHYR growled. Then cover you I will. Flames erupted along his arms, wings flexing like coiled steel. Strike together, human. Elias flipped a switch. Sparks roared, a surge of electricity rocketed through the conduit. The KRYLL convulsed, twitching violently, sparks arcing from their bioelectric bodies. Shivrax snarled, stepping back. Clever, but temporary. Elias's arms ached from rerouting power. Temporary is enough. Just enough. VAZHR's tail lashed, smashing a panel across the hybrid's knee. Shivrax stumbled, hissed, and unleashed another wave of KRYLL drones. Elias wiped sweat from his brow. We can't hold them forever. VAZHR's eyes burned with intensity. We won't hold. We will fight. And we will survive. Stand firm, human. Elias nodded, gripping his multi-tool like a lifeline. All right, you magnificent scaly son of a, let's do this. As the hybrid regrouped, their eyes met, human and dragon, against an enemy that had planned every move for months. One thought burned in Elias's mind. I gave up a seat, and now I'm fighting for the galaxy. Not bad for a mechanic. The battle wasn't over. It had just become personal. And in the shadows of Deck 9, Shivrax smiled, already calculating their next move. The corridors of Deck 9 felt alive with electricity, fire, and desperation. Sparks arced like lightning between damaged conduits, and smoke curled in lazy spirals under the red emergency lights. Elias Cade ducked behind a bulkhead, multi-tool in hand, watching the hybrid Shivrax orchestrate the KRYLL drones like a conductor with a deadly orchestra. VAZHYR, massive and unyielding, stood at the center of the corridor. Flames licked his cybernetic wing braces as he flexed his claws, creating a barrier between Elias and the advancing drones. Every breath he exhaled sent waves of heat down the passage, singeing exposed wires and scorched panels alike. Human, VAZHYR rumbled, we will not survive by strength alone. You must use your ingenuity. Elias wiped sweat from his brow. You mean, overheat a spaceship and hope it fries the alien scum? VAZHYR's tail flicked impatiently. Precisely. Do not underestimate the human mind. Elias darted toward the auxiliary power grid, weaving between sparks and fallen conduit. Shivrax's drones screeched and lunged, but VAZHYR's flames held them at bay, claws snapping at anything that came too close. Almost there, Elias muttered, yanking a panel off the wall. The interior of the grid glowed with dangerous energy. If I can bridge these conduits, reroute the excess power through the KRYLL drone's biofeedback loops, they'll fry. Temporarily, but enough for us to strike. VAZHYR's gaze scanned the shadows. Hurry, human. I can only hold them for moments longer. Elias gritted his teeth and connected wires with precise movements, sparks flying with every touch. The drones hissed, their limbs twitching unnaturally. Shivrax's voice cut through the chaos, synthetic and menacing. You think your primitive tricks can stop me? Elias grinned, despite the smoke in his lungs. Not me. You. He flipped a final switch. A surge of electricity raced through the conduits, arcing toward the drones. Their bodies convulsed violently, sparks spraying like fireworks. One by one, the KRYLL fell, twitching and inert. VAZHYR roared, flames blasting from his maw. Now! Strike together! The hybrid Shivrax snarled, attempting to retreat down a service shaft, but VAZHYR's massive clawed foot slammed into the floor, shaking the corridor like a thunderclap. Elias lunged, plunging his multi-tool into the control panel Shivrax had used to command the drone. Sparks exploded, wires snapped, and Shivrax screamed as control over the KRYLL shattered. Elias leaped aside just as a wave of electricity erupted, arcs sizzling across the floor. He rolled, scrambled to his feet, and met VAZHYR's eyes. Still alive? VAZHYR asked, smoke curling from his nostrils. For now, Elias replied, coughing. But that guy is not done. We need to finish this. VAZHYR bared his fangs. Then we finish it together. The hybrid regrouped, its cloak smoking, eyes glowing brighter than ever. Foolish creatures, it hissed. Do you think you've won? I control far more than drones. Elias's mind raced. Wait. I can use the ship's quantum-threaded hull. If I can overload a segment, force a resonance spike, it'll collapse their cybernetic interface. Temporary but devastating. VAZHYR nodded slowly. I will cover you. But this will be dangerous for all aboard. Yeah, that's why they call me a mechanic, Elias muttered. They raced to the hull control panel, dodging fires, falling debris, and the occasional twitching KRYLL. Elias manipulated the controls, rerouting power, creating a delicate feedback loop. Every wrong move would fry the ship and everyone in it. VAZHYR stood guard, flames and claws ready, intercepting the hybrid's desperate attacks. The air vibrated with heat and electricity, sparks mingling with the smoke in a surreal, chaotic ballet. Almost there, Elias muttered, sweat stinging his eyes. Just need to stabilize the resonance. Shivrax lunged. VAZHYR reacted instantly, catching the hybrid mid-flight, slamming it into the bulkhead with a roar that shook the corridor. Human! Now! Elias slammed the final override. A thunderous pulse surged through the hull, making the walls shiver. The quantum-threaded metal glowed, feeding energy back into the hybrid's cybernetic interface. Shivrax screamed as circuits overloaded, sparks and smoke enveloping it in a dazzling, chaotic storm. The KRYLL drones convulsed violently, falling inert once more. The hybrid collapsed, writhing, and then went still. Elias sank to the floor, chest heaving. I think that did it. VAZHYR's massive claws hovered over the hybrid. Flames subsided, wings folding. Temporary victory, he said, voice rumbling. But you, human, you are remarkable. Elias laughed weakly. Remarkable is one word for it. Terrifying is another. The ship's emergency lights returned to normal as engineering systems stabilized. Smoke curled from melted panels, but the warp core remained intact. Passengers emerged cautiously, their eyes wide at the scorched corridors, the charred remains of drones, and the imposing figure of VAZHYR. Lyra Tanis, the captain, approached. I don't know how to thank you. The ship, the passengers, all saved. By you both. VAZHYR's gaze softened slightly. Humans act when honor demands it. This one, he gestured at Elias, acted without hesitation. Courage is not determined by size or species. Elias wiped soot from his face. Yeah, well, sometimes a seat swap can get you into trouble, and apparently into heroics. VAZHYR's tail flicked once, almost like amusement. Perhaps you are more than a mechanic. Perhaps you are a human worth remembering. Elias laughed, exhausted but exhilarated. I'll take it. I was just trying not to get fried. As they surveyed the aftermath, a subtle warning lingered in the air. Shivrax may have been defeated, but its voice, mechanical, synthetic, and chilling, still echoed faintly in Elias's mind. This is not over. I will return. And when I do, the galaxy will learn the cost of defying me. Elias exchanged a glance with VAZHYR. Yeah. I've got a feeling you're right. VAZHYR nodded. Then we prepare. Together, human. Together, we endure. And for the first time, Elias understood. A small act of kindness, giving up a seat, had set in motion a chain of events that would ripple across the galaxy. He grinned, exhausted, battered, but undeniably alive. I just hope first class is still free when we're done saving the universe. VAZHYR's low chuckle rumbled like distant thunder. Humans. Always strange, always remarkable. The Skyshard Express hummed with cautious calm. Emergency lights had dimmed to a soft amber, smoke had cleared from the corridors, and passengers cautiously emerged from their hiding places. The aftermath of chaos left the luxury liner scarred but intact. Elias Cade sat on a scorched floor panel in first class. His original seat, now ironically restored, grinning like a man who had survived a galaxy-sized nightmare. He leaned against a bulkhead, wiping soot from his hands. Can't believe I'm back in first class, he muttered, eyes flicking to VAZHYR, who stood like a vigilant sentinel. The Dragonborn's wings flexed lightly, the cybernetic braces gleaming under the soft lights. Funny, the seat swap nearly got me fried. And somehow heroic. VAZHYR's amber gaze softened as he studied Elias. You acted without hesitation, without regard for glory or recognition. That is why humans endure, because they act when others hesitate. Elias scratched his head. I was just trying to avoid breaking my back. You know, practical heroism? VAZHYR snorted, a low, rumbling sound. Practical, yes, but remarkable nonetheless. Few would have given up comfort for honor. The passengers slowly approached, some still wide-eyed, some whispering praises. Lyra Tanis, the captain, stepped forward, holding a tablet displaying the full logs of the attack. Mr. Cade, she said, voice trembling with a mix of relief and awe, we can never repay what you've done. Not just for me, or the crew, or the passengers, but for the entire ship. Elias shrugged, tired but smiling. I guess that's why I'm a mechanic. We don't usually get medals, just greasy hands and weird looks. Visitor's eyes gleamed faintly. Perhaps the galaxy owes you more than a medal. The captain gestured toward the forward observation deck. Through the transparent hull, stars shimmered, streaking past as the ship cruised safely through hyperspace. The sight calmed passengers and crew alike. Elias leaned against the railing, still feeling the adrenaline pulse in his veins. "You know," he said, half to himself, "I never imagined giving up a seat could start a galactic adventure." Visitor's head tilted. "Humans, you underestimate yourselves. You are unpredictable, clever, and courageous. Your species inspires." Elias chuckled. "Inspiring is one word. Insane is another. But hey, I'll take it." Just then, an alert pinged on the captain's console. Lyra frowned, tapping the screen. "It's a transmission. From the Dracorian High Council. They've received word of Visitor's survival. They want to honor both of you." VHY's tail flicked once, almost amused. "Humans included?" Lyra smiled. "Specifically. They say the human mechanic who aided General VHYR saved not just the ship, but countless lives. They wish to acknowledge bravery across species." Elias's jaw dropped. "Wait, me? Honored by Dracorian Council? For the giving up a seat?" VHYR's eyes glimmered, a faint smile curling his scaled lips. "Sometimes the smallest choices ripple across the cosmos. You have proven that humans, though fragile by form, are formidable by heart." Elias rubbed his eyes. "Okay. That's unbelievable." Passengers and crew began cheering quietly. Elias waved awkwardly, feeling entirely out of place in all this grandeur. He glanced at VHYR, who simply nodded. "You earned it, human," the Dragonborn said. "And remember, the universe has a long memory for those who act with honor." Elias laughed, a mixture of disbelief and relief. "Guess I'm officially a legend now. All because I didn't want a sore back." Visitor's rumble of approval shook the floor slightly. "Legends are forged by choice, not by desire. You chose well." Later, in the observation lounge, Elias and VZHYR shared a quiet moment. The passengers had dispersed, the crew repaired damaged panels, and the ship's systems hummed smoothly again. Elias sipped a recycled fruit drink, finally tasting the luxury he had given up earlier. "You know," he said, "I don't think anyone will ever believe this story. A human mechanic, a dragon war hero, saving a ship together. It's ridiculous." Visitor's amber eyes gleamed in amusement. "Ridiculous to those who underestimate humans. You are extraordinary, Elias Cade. Remember this moment, and remember that courage is not measured by size or species or weapons. It is measured by action." Elias smirked. "Action, huh? Sounds like my kind of job." VZHYR inclined his head. "And perhaps, one day the galaxy will call upon you again. For now you have survived. You have acted. You have honored the unwritten code of the brave." Elias leaned back, finally relaxing. "Yeah, unbelievable. But hey, if giving up a seat starts all this, maybe I should do it more often." Visitor's low chuckle echoed like distant thunder. "Humans. Always strange, always remarkable." And as the Skyshard Express cruised onward, patched but victorious, Elias realized that heroism didn't require superpowers, dragons, or ancient artifacts. Sometimes it only required a choice to do the right thing, even if it was as simple as giving up a seat. The universe had noticed, and it would not forget.